History does not fall in a single moment. It does not collapse overnight. It waits. Silence. Long ago, in this land, dynasties were built on trust, on righteousness, on the quiet hopes of ordinary people. Stillness. They believed that as long as the ruler was wise and officials were upright, the country would endure. Time passes. They believed justice was stronger than fear, that authority existed to serve, not to dominate. Pause. And for a time, that belief was rewarded. Order existed. Stability followed. People lived without asking too many questions, quietly. But history follows a silent law, one that never announces itself. Power grows. Morality fades. Slowly, almost unnoticed. At first, those who ruled still listened. They listened to advice, to warnings, to words that were difficult to hear. Breath. Truth was uncomfortable, but it was tolerated, because power was not yet afraid. Pause. But as the throne became secure, as authority went unchallenged, truth became inconvenient. Not because it was wrong, but because it disturbed comfort. Silence. Honest voices were seen as obstacles. Pleasant voices were welcomed, not because they were wise, but because they were reassuring. Time. Power prefers comfort over correction. Pause. Then came a decision, not a dramatic one, not a decision written in bold letters, a small one, so small it seemed harmless. Stillness. Perhaps it favored loyalty over integrity. Perhaps it ignored a warning. Perhaps it rewarded silence. Pause. But in that moment, something shifted. Morality was placed behind power. And when authority no longer fears moral limits, history begins to write. Quietly, patiently. Time passes. The people did not rebel, not at first. They endured. They waited. They told themselves this was temporary. Silence. They believed stability was still possible, that justice would return. But something fragile began to break. Slowly. Trust does not disappear loudly. It fades. Pause. When people lose faith in justice, they choose silence. And silence is never harmless. Stillness. Silence allows patterns to settle. It allows injustice to become routine. It allows power to grow without reflection. Time. Within the court, upright men stepped back, not from weakness, but from understanding. Pause. They understood that truth, spoken without consequence, becomes noise. Silence. Positions of influence passed quietly into the hands of those who pleased, rather than guided. Time passes. Those who nodded survived. Those who questioned vanished. Pause. Principles faded. Calculations remained. Governance became management. Leadership became control. Silence. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the distance between ruler and people grew. Time. Then, inevitably, a crisis arrived. It always does. Pause. It may have been disaster. It may have been invasion. It may have been collapse from within. Silence. History does not care which form it takes. What matters is what the system reveals under pressure. Pause. And only then did the truth become clear. The dynasty was not weak in soldiers. It was not poor in resources. Silence. It was empty of trust. Pause. Orders were given, but no one believed in them. Walls stood tall, but no one felt protected by them. Stillness. When people no longer wish to protect power, every wall becomes fragile. Pause. Power without morality cannot save itself. Silence. From the outside, collapse looks sudden. A fall, a defeat, a moment. Pause. From the inside, it began long before. It began when truth was tolerated, then ignored, then quietly punished. Silence. History does not accuse, it records. Time. It records patterns. It records consequences. Pause. It records that when power drifts too far from moral restraint, the cost is never small. Silence. Thrones are lost. Nations suffer. Generations inherit consequences they never chose. Pause. Children grow up in the shadow of decisions made long before their time. Silence. This story belongs to no single dynasty. It repeats, again and again, throughout history. Time passes. Names change. Faces change. Uniforms change. Pause. The pattern does not. Silence. Because the struggle between power and morality is not historical, it is human. Pause. History does not exist to glorify the past, nor to judge it. It exists to remind the present of a simple truth. Silence. Power only has meaning when it walks alongside morality. Pause. Without morality, power becomes fear. Without restraint, authority becomes isolation. Silence. And the final question is not for history. Pause. It is for us. Silence. When standing before power, when holding influence, when silence is easier than truth. Pause. Does humanity still remember how to be humble? Silence.